You understand? And you do have to sort this out emotionally. You've got to get to the stage where emotionally you're not telling yourself constantly, I'm angry with God. You've got to get to the stage where you're telling yourself, I'm damn angry with my mum and dad. I'm damn angry with this world that we live in that shuts down emotion. I'm angry with, be honest about that. But that's more honest. It's not total honesty, because anger is like, as we discussed during the week with a group, anger is the facade you put on your fear. And fear is the facade you put on your grief. You understand? So anger is not a real feeling. It's a manufactured state that you prefer rather than feeling fear. And fear is not a real feeling either. It's a manufactured state you prefer than to believe the truth. Do you understand? No? I said some very significant things in that last sentence. Right? Fear is a manufactured state that you prefer than to accept truth. And anger is a manufactured state you prefer so you don't have to feel fear. So when you say, if I'm honest with God, I'll say, I'm angry with you, you are not being honest with God. You have grief with God. That's the reality that you're not wanting to feel. What's the grief you have with God? Well, a lot of times you feel, if there is a God, he neglected me. If there is a God, I can't hear him. If there is a God, I can't see him. If there is a God, he's never touched me. If there is a God, I've never felt his love. That's what you feel. When you're angry about it, you're not being honest. You're having control over your sadness, which is not honest. Yep. Yep. Sandra?
I'm wondering about, like, if me or someone else, doesn't matter, wants things from people, like when we want addictions from people.
Yep.
And like what I've realised, and I don't know if this is real now in this respect that we're talking about, in terms of my addiction, wanting addiction from God rather than love.
Oh, certainly you can do that.
Okay. Yep.
But what are addictions? Addictions are there to help you avoid your fears. Your fears. What are your fears? They are the lies you tell yourself so you don't have to grieve. Your fears are the lies you tell yourself so you don't have to grieve. And your addictions are the lies you tell yourself so you don't have to fear. And your anger is the lies you tell yourself when your addictions didn't get met. And of course, all those lies are nothing to do with being truthful emotionally. And we've just established prior to this that to have a relationship, I have to have truthful emotional feelings. And the other person needs to be able to feel them. That's how a relationship happens. Yep. Okay. Now, this is all a bit of a segue, but it's helpful. So we'll talk about that in a minute. Ange, you want to ask?
So it's a bit different. So, because in a relationship,
Yep.
didn't you say before?
Relationship with whom?
With Mary.
Yes,
with
okay, with partner, let's say, yep.
Didn't you say that as long as you're being truthful, even if it's no affection, when I'm angry with you, did you say that is still in a relationship or not?
Well, Mary might be angry, and she might even be angry with me.
Yes.
Now, to be angry with me truthfully,
Yes.
I would have had to do something out of harmony with love.
Okay.
But to be really honest, she would need to be grieving to be fully truthful, because her anger with me is not truthful. It's her wanting to control what I did.
So it's the same.
It's the same. Right? So you could say, if Mary's angry with me, she is not actually having a truthful relationship with me. Because really she's sad.
Yes.
And then on top of that sadness, there's a whole bunch of fear that she doesn't want to feel about her sadness. And then on top of that fear, there's a whole heap of addictions she's put on it. And then with a whole heap of addictions she doesn't want to be truthful about, she's now angry. And now that's not the real person, is it, anymore? That's just a whole heap of manufactured stuff in order to avoid the truth of the real emotion. So when Mary's angry with me, you know what I do? I hardly feel her anger at all. I hardly feel her fear at all. What do? I go, babe, you're just sad about this. And you don't want to feel it. If I've done something unloving, I go, babe, I can understand why you're sad about that. Because I've done something unloving. Make sense? Yeah, and that's why you're sad about that. But you do need to feel your sadness about that rather than fear, avoiding your fear and your addictions and going to your rage. You follow? Yeah. Hello?
So just to clarify, the grief is the only true emotion, like in the sense that you'd be sad about something. Everything else is a top.
It's not the only true emotion.
Unless, say, you were in a state of love or passion or desire or
exactly.
all of those beautiful
There's
things.
a lot of other true emotions,
they're
right?
Beautiful. But while I'm in this phase of working through my untrue emotions,
fear is an untrue emotion.
Yes. So I wouldn't be having. So at the moment, I'm not really having a relationship, say, with you because I'm full of fears and angers and all of these things, and not even being honest about my sadness.
Isn't that true? Isn't that true? Isn't that true that if you're in a fear relationship with somebody, you're not really in a proper relationship with them?
Correct.
You're in a relationship with your own fear.
Yeah.
Isn't that true?
Yeah, and trying to have a relationship with my fear too.
It's definitely a truth. If you look at fear itself is, I want to believe something is true, but it's actually false.
Yeah.
I want to believe that I'm afraid when really I just don't want to cry.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
It's actually false. The real reality is I need to cry.
Yeah.
And I don't want to. I'm afraid of it.
Yeah.
I want to tell myself I'm afraid of it, and I put a whole heap of untruth on that feeling, that grief. I put a whole heap of untruth on it. Now I've created fear. Now, other people did this for you in your childhood, of course, not just you. Your mum and dad did it, and your friends did it, and your family did it, and your generations of families did it. You know what I mean? Yeah. You've got your environment doing it all the time. So it's not just you who created this lie, but the reality is this lie is the avoidance of the truth that's under it. Yeah. So when you say, I'm afraid of being humiliated, no, you're not.
Sad about it.
You're sad about being humiliated. You understand?
Yeah.
But many of you say, I'm afraid of it. And I go, well, you're not really afraid of it. You're sad about it, and you don't want to feel your sadness. You're trying to distance yourself from it by calling it fear. Yeah. And if you call something fear nowadays, what does the average person say to you? Oh,
yeah.
You don't have to feel that. I'll make that go away.
Yeah.
Oh, you poor thing. You need rescuing. Oh. Don't they?
Yeah.
They don't say, damn, we'll feel your sadness. Not damn, well, but don't they say, just you're lying to yourself, feel your sadness. You go, what?
Oh, I'm back in anger. We're not in a relationship.
That addiction didn't work. Isn't that how it is? Yeah. So the reality is when you're saying you're afraid of something, you're not really afraid of it. You're lying about it.
Yesterday he said it's the avoidance of truth.
It's the avoidance of truth. Fear is the avoidance of truth. Remember, I've said that to you from day one, actually. From the very first time I've ever spoke to you about emotions, I said to you that fear is false expectations appearing real, which is really saying the false appearing true, isn't it? Or you could say false emotions appearing real. Lovely acronym. Fear, false emotions, false expectations, false emotions appearing real. You see, fear is a layer of lies that either somebody else or you tell yourself so that you don't have to grieve. Yep. And addictions are a layer of lies to tell yourself so you don't have to fear. And rage is a layer of lies you tell yourself so you don't have to see that your addictions didn't get met. To get control over your addictions getting met. Now, why is that segue important in our relationship with God? Well, that's break time and we answer that question. Yep.
Thanks, darling.